All right, Coach Lubick has joined us here, and we'll go right to questions. Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for doing this. I'm curious, we saw in the game more of Marcus Fleming and Xavier Betts for the first time. What did you make of each of their performances, and what's important for each of them going forward?
Really impressed when they got in and they played with confidence. First game jitters is every coach worries about that. The coaches, we worry about the basic fundamentals. Are we going to line up right? Are we going to run the right route? Are we going to block the right guy? And for the most part, they did that. And then secondly, are we going to play with great effort? And they did that too. So they did everything we asked of them. As a matter of fact, they probably superseded our expectations, and so they're going to continue to get more plays and more opportunities, and they're doing a good job in practice as well.
Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Matt, how do you guys create more big plays?
It's a combination of things. That's not an easy. It's a good question. It's not an easy answer. Getting the ball in playmakers' hands that can make explosive plays. A lot of big plays are made by when you might call a routine play that's designed to get 6-7 yards and guys break tackles. So continuing to get the ball in playmakers' hands, take advantage of what the defense gives you, specific coverage looks. If we get a tendency or a clip where, we make that our first read and specifically attack that coverage to push the ball downfield. Taking more shots, which we did this game. We didn't hit all of them, but we took a lot more shots this game than the previous game. And then when we have a chance to make the one-on-one catches or the big throw, we got to make it, And then a big part of big plays for us too is in the run game, and the run game, that's not just the running back, that's the line, getting them to the second level, and then that's the receivers doing a great job blocking the second level, and so the running back can explode. So it's something we talk about all the time is getting more explosive plays, and it takes every position. It's not just the playmakers. It's the line giving us time to throw the ball downfield. It's the quarterback making the right read. It's the receivers attacking the ball. It's the running backs either in pass protection or running hard with the ball in their hands.
How do you get Dedrick Mills kind of unlocked a little? He's averaging 3 yards a carry, which is considerably below where he was last year. How do you guys get some crease runs for him?
Sure. Dedrick's doing a good job. He's doing a really good job too in pass protection that people don't see. They always see just the carries. First of all, I got to give credit. We've played two darn good defenses, really good defenses, and so that's a challenge, And obviously, we got to rise up to that challenge and get yards and score points and win the game despite that. But Dedrick specifically, just keep giving him the rock, because sometimes, as the game goes on, those 2 and 3 yard gains all of a sudden turn into 6-7 yard gains. And he's one of those guys, too, that gets better as the game goes on, because he's going to bring it every single snap. And giving him runs, which he does well. That's a big part of the game plan with anybody. If there's something a guy does really well, put him in that situation so he can do it.
Thank you.
Lincoln Journal-Star, Steve Sipple.
Hi, Coach. In your role, when would you Scott mentioned yesterday there'll be, the quarterback's going to compete for the job. In your role, when would you like to see that narrowed down during the week? When would be an optimum time?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, because really with any position. Okay, and right now we have a lot of jobs, not just the quarterback position, that are up for grabs, and so this is an open competition week. We're starting to make reps equal, which includes the quarterbacks. And just giving guys opportunities, and you could make an argument that you'd like to have clear-cut one, but you could also make the argument that you want to have two good quarterbacks that are ready to play. And so, I don't think it's tough to give you a straight-on answer on that one, and it's not just the quarterback position. We've got really good competition going on at the receiver position. We're changing some things at the offensive line. We've got competition at every position, competition, I'm a big believer, makes you better. And then because we got to see how guys respond to pressure, and competition is pressure. We're going to have pressure in the game, and guys are rising to the occasion, and so it's good. Like, for example, Luke's pushing Adrian's pushing Luke, and I think that mutually makes them better.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
on the quarterback question, how delicate can that be to manage just through your experience when you've got two good guys like Luke and Adrian? And, what do you look for over the course of a week when you try to come up with a decision who's going to be your guy for Saturday?
Sure. Well, I could see how it could be a delicate situation. What we're very grateful for is they're two good quarterbacks, but they're two great people. And so both those guys want to win football games. And whoever starts on Saturday, the other guy is going to be his biggest fan. And I really believe that. And that speaks a lot about those two guys. So that's the first thing. From a quarterback position, we look for consistency, making good decisions. Obviously we evaluate the game, but we also evaluate practice. Who's throwing the ball on time, throwing to the right guys. They've both done a great job of making plays with their feet. But it's going to come down to who's playing the most consistent. And then like at any position, whoever starts the game is who we think at that moment can give us the best chance to win.
Couple more for Coach Lubick. Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Hey, Matt, where are you guys at, like drive to drive, in terms of running the offense at the tempo you want right now?
Well, so it's something we practice all the time is our tempo, and tempo is we want it to be a weapon for us. There's so many things that go into that. There's some times where, we want to help our defense out by maintaining the long drive. There's sometimes, we call it the tempo opportunity. This is an opportunity to do tempo because they're doing this. We practice that all the time. I think that's something we can always get better at. Just like anything, there's something that you can always get a little better. I think we do a good job still pushing the tempo in practice. We've kind of moved in and out of tempo in games. There's been times like in the last game where we did, especially in the 2-minute drill, where we sped it up a little bit because we had to, and we moved the ball. And part of being able to go tempo is having positive plays. And when you're moving the ball and you have a drive going, it's a lot easier to go tempo. The one thing about tempo, when you have a negative play or you have a false start and then you're behind the chains, you want to get the right play called and make sure that everyone's in the right spot and you're attacking what you want to attack, which tempo doesn't always let you do that. Okay, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. Part of it's how does the defense responding to tempo? Is there a weakness the way they line up to a certain tempo formation? So we study that every day, and that's a big part of our game plan is, hey, what can we tempo? When can we tempo? But to do that, you've got to practice it. You've got to practice it, and we've done that all camp and all summer.
Derek Peterson, Hale Varsity.
Hey, Matt. For lay people outside those meeting rooms, getting Wandale more touches on Saturday seems like it would be as simple as, maybe just dialing up a couple of jet sweeps or putting him in the backfield and giving him a handoff or something. But, I know it's not as simple as that. When you guys...
That is a good observation,
it is.
though. Well, I mean, it's a little more complicated on that, but what you said is stuff that we can do, and we got to do more as far as, giving him carries, just different things. And again, giving him the ball of stuff that he does well, and his skill set, he has a lot of things well. He's primarily a receiver, and they've done some things coverage-wise, and kind of just game dictations down in distance to take him out of certain progressions. But that doesn't mean, to your point, there's very simple ways that anyone can understand that we can give him the ball. I mean, he's proven he can carry the ball in the backfield. He's proven he can carry the ball in fly sweeps. And that's something that we talk about how are we going to get not just Wandale, who's a big-time playmaker, and we got to give him the ball more, but how do we get all our playmakers the ball in what they do? Like both our quarterbacks are pretty good playmakers. How do we get them in situations where they have the ball in their hands and they do? Same thing with the receiver situation. If we have a specific receiver that needs to get the ball in his hands, we think about that in the game plan, and we try to design plays to make that happen.
So you said it. You guys have played two really good defenses. Northwestern and Ohio State probably might have two of the better defenses in the conference at the end of the year. Like, is it more that they are taking him away, or is there something specific that on your guys' side of things that's keeping him from getting more involved?
Sure. I think it's a combination of things. I think, first of all, we can do a better job doing that. But part of it is the situation of the game. You might have a specific play where he's getting the ball, but all of a sudden you're in a long yard situation. That play is not ready. You can't call that play. So part of it's the specific situation. Part of it's the number of plays. Part of it too is, we want to is keep putting him in the right spot at the right time, and then part of it is with the defense. So it's a combination of things. But in summary, we're working on that, and we can do a better job getting him the ball.
Thanks, Matt.
And one more for Coach Lubick. Back to Steve Sipple, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Coach, I mean, I don't want to dwell on that game on Saturday, but I do wonder, the first three series, you had penalties that, obviously set you back. Would it be accurate to say those were tone-setting type penalties? And what was your level of frustration in the box as that was occurring?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, and I know our whole team, it makes you sick to your stomach because those penalties, number one, is it's us beating ourselves. I know we've talked about it, and that's not just the people that committed those. That's everybody. That's on coaches. We gotta keep letting them hear. This is how to do it right. This is how to play disciplined football. And there's consequences if they don't play disciplined football. And at the same time, when I say it starts with the coaches. What can we have done better so those penalties don't happen? So it keeps us up at night. We talk about it as a staff. How can we rehearse? How can we be more disciplined before we even? That's way more important than any play we drop. Okay, and just rehearsing it. And then when something like that happens in a game, it just makes you sick because it's very hard statistically to overcome that. All of a sudden now, you're in 2nd and 15. So I mean, what you play into the defense's hands because now your play menu is limited, and they can play a little bit different. They could either, hey, we're going to put a lot more pressure on this guy, or we can play softer coverages where there's not as many windows to throw the ball. And so, as opposed to being ahead of the chains, where really you can call anything, they have to defend the whole field. They have to defend the run. They have to defend the pass. But when you get in those long yardage situations because of penalties, it's huge. It's a huge percentage of being unsuccessful, but it's huge for the defense that now they can just play certain plays and they don't have to give up the big play, and that's really hurt us because it really limits what you can do offensively when you get into 3rd and 15, Now we still got to execute those and we still practice those situations, but it's a lot easier and it's just a lot more beneficial to the offense when you're in normal down and distances and calling plays.
Thank you, Coach.
Great, thanks, Coach. We'll have Coach Chinander next. All right, Coach Chinander's here. First question I see here, Brian Christopherson, 24/7.
Hey, Eric. Kind of watching the game back Saturday. What was just your overview? How did you feel you tackled? What were the concern points you took from it, or what was the positives?
I mean that's a long question. There's quite a few positives. Obviously, we created 2 turnovers. We got to start better first and second half. Those 2 drives, that just can't happen, and that stems from practicing better on Tuesdays. To me, you practice how you play. You got to start fast in practice. You got to start fast in the game. We gave up the big run in the first series, and then they ran that play a couple more times, and it went for -2. It's just we weren't triggering, we weren't playing fast. Partly probably because there was some new guys in there, but whoever's in the game's got to play. We got some pressure on the quarterback. Anytime you're close to holding the team to around 300 yards, that's pretty good. We played the run game well after that big run hit in the second half. A couple scrambles, but other than that, defended the run well. And there was, you got 2 turnovers in the pass game. You got some quarterback hits, and I think they had 160 yards passing. So there's a lot of positives to take. There's definitely some things to correct, and part of that's just starting the game faster in both halves. We tackled well, except for we missed a couple where guys tried to get on ESPN in the second half and blow somebody up. But other than that, the team tackling was pretty well. It was great to see some young kids get some action in there. There's a lot of guys that are earning opportunity. We talked to the defense yesterday that I'm not looking to bench people. I'm not looking to scare anybody, but there's a lot of young guys that are earning a lot of opportunity, and they need the reps. And however you practice this week is going to determine how many reps those young guys get and how many reps those older guys get. But we definitely saw guys, and you guys know who they are: Miles Farmer, Quentin Newsom, Luke Reimer, Jordan Riley got back in the game. Some of the outside linebackers affected the game probably more in their snaps than others. So it's going to be a good week of practice, and guys know that it's on the line.
Thanks, Eric.
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Eric, we've talked about this a little bit here and there, but just with the way that you're in and out of odd and even fronts and all the different players you use in the front seven, as a play caller, do you feel like you're starting to get in a pretty good rhythm or have a pretty good feel of, all of those different packages and who maybe ideally you want in the game in certain situations? Now you've got a couple, not only practice, but a couple of games doing it.
Yeah, it's starting to shape up a little bit, and it's never one game going to be the same as the other. It kind of depends on what the offense is doing and what feels like it gives us the best shot, as well as who's healthy and available, which group gives us the best chance to win each week. But definitely we're finding a rhythm and finding who needs to be in the game at what point in time, and obviously getting some of those young DBs some reps, and they did a nice job. That always helps when you have 3 or 4 guys to roll at safety and 3 or 4 guys to roll at corner, and definitely getting all the linebackers back healthy inside. Being able to roll those guys so they don't have to play the entire game is very helpful. So we're starting to see the depth emerge, as well as who needs to probably be out there for the first snap.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Eric, Coach Frost mentioned yesterday that they've made some decisions with their offensive tempo, with the defense in mind, to keep the defense rested. What do you feel like you guys are ready for as a defense to handle, as far as the amount of time that you spend on the field?
I mean, you got to be able to handle anything. Whatever he wants to do on offense is up to him. In my opinion, when you develop depth, which is starting to happen, we should be happy to go on the field. We're never happy that the offense turns the ball over. I mean, that's not good for the team. But as a defense, you should be happy you get another opportunity to make a sack. You get another opportunity to make a TFL. You get another opportunity to make an interception. So let's be fired up when we get to go out on the field. Whether we get to go out for 25 series or 15, doesn't matter. Let's go play football. We all came here to play football, not sit on the bench. So whatever he wants to do on offense, that's up to him. That's great. And we just got to be able to go play when it's our turn. When the bell's called, we got to answer.
Kevin Suits, Channel 1011.
Coach, just curious what your analysis is of Penn State. They seem to be an interesting study. They started the year with 35 points offensively, but that's gradually gone down as the season's progressed.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, and this is a kind of a weird year to begin with, but you never know what's going to happen. Could they have been a little down because they lost a couple early? Maybe. Do they have good players? Absolutely. Do they have a good scheme? Absolutely. So we just got to be ready to get Penn State's best shot when they come in here. They definitely have some explosive playmakers, both at receiver and tight end, and their quarterback obviously can do some really nice things both in the air and on the ground. I think they have an experienced offensive line that played well in the last few games. So I think we got to be ready for their best shot, thinking that we're going to get a top 10 football team rolling in here, and we got to be ready to play.
Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Eric, given Penn State's recent history, penchant for hitting a lot of big pass plays, how big of a test is this week for your cornerbacks and your secondary as a whole?
Well, I think it's going to be a big week for them. They're back when they were at Minnesota, the offensive coordinator, and Penn State. they're gonna run the ball, and it's going to be a lot of hard play action, and you have a tendency to get some safety sucked up, and that's what creates those big passing plays on the outside. Your corners a lot of times are playing mano a mano, just because of the safeties. If you're in split safety coverage, your safeties get sucked up in the run game as extra defenders. If you got a post player there, he's not going to be sucked up in the run game, but you have a tendency on those hard play action to get your hook players sucked up, your curl flat players sucked up, and potentially your split field safety. So those guys got to be on their P's and Q's at all times this week, and you just can't fall asleep out there when they're trying to pound the ball and pound the ball and pound the ball and flipping an RPO and pounding the ball and flipping an RPO, and then boom, here comes a big shot. So that's always a big test for those guys to stay mentally locked in for 75 or 80 plays.
Hey, setting aside Ohio State, which is just a great offense, opponents are still converting 51% of their third downs against you guys this year. Seems to be really the only statistical thing out there that doesn't look great. What would you like to do to improve that?
Yeah, I think there's a few situational things we need to do, just where we're at on the field. Also, there's been a lot of third and mediums, whatever you want to call them, not in that 7+ range, and so we need to do a little bit better job on first and second down to get them to a longer third down. There's probably some things where I can probably help the kids a little bit on that and get them in some different stuff. Maybe take a few more chances as a play caller, but I think that's one area that we really need to evaluate and improve on a little bit.
Take one more for Coach. Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Coach, how much is this team just looking forward to playing a home game? It's November 14th coming up Saturday, and you guys haven't been at home yet. How much are guys looking forward to that?
Sean, they're really looking forward to that, but I'm really amazed with this group that, we came in and that was a heartbreaking loss for them. And, there was obviously not good feeling in the locker room afterwards. Everybody in that locker room felt like we should have won that football game. But we came in here on Sunday and on Monday morning, and these kids just want to play football. And do they want to play at home and everything? Absolutely. They love playing here in front of their fans and their family, but they just wanted to play football. They just wanted to practice again. And now I was just amazed with this group that they wanted to take the hard coaching. It's gotten to the point now where they don't need a pat on the back every day. They want to get coached hard. They want to get better. They want to know how they can get better, and they just want to play football. And just to practice today, just to have the opportunity to practice today in this crazy weird year is what they really wanted, and they're gonna love a chance to play at home in front of the people that they love the most. But just the opportunity to play football is what they wanted, and it's a pretty awesome deal.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We'll have Coach Ruud next. All right, Coach Ruud's here now. Got the first question. Joe Nugent, WOWT.
We hear quite a bit about teams making big-time progress between that first and second game. I'm wondering if you felt like that played out. I know points allowed a lot less Northwestern compared to Ohio State, but obviously two different offenses as well. So did you feel like you were able to take advantage of that period?
Yeah, I thought we made progress. I thought we played better from week 1 to week 2. There was Ohio State, you give them credit because they're a very good team. I mean, they're probably a top 5 team nationally. But similar to Northwestern, if you take away 4 or 5 plays, it's a different ball game. And we felt the same way about Northwestern. Guys played hard. They tackled fairly well. A couple sloppy tackles in the second half. But, once again, great defenses don't give up those 4 or 5 little plays. So we just got to tighten that part of it up. But I'm happy with the way guys are working, and I do think there was progress from week 1 to week 2.
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Barrett, Luke told us after the game that he said his nerves were through the roof before the first drive, and then again coming out of halftime. I'm curious, could you tell in watching him, and how did you just think he sort of handled operationally, starting and playing the whole way for the first time in his career?
Yeah, I mean, far and away his worst drive of the game was the opening drive. So there was probably some nerves there. But I nerves, that happens. I've been doing this for some form of football at a high level for almost 20 years, and I still get really nervous before games, so that happens. But it's just experience. You got to get used to that. I do think once he got through that first drive, he played pretty well. Hey, the nerves are a good thing. You're supposed to be nervous before a big game. But now it's just now he knows he's been there in that situation. He knows how to handle it. And now we expect him not to have that a little bit lackadaisical first drive and play like he did the rest of the game in the entirety.
Colin said yesterday that we all sort of finally got to see what you guys see in every practice with Luke. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think Colin's spot on. I mean, I would say I was not surprised at all with how Luke played. He's a very good player. He's an active player, has a natural feel for getting to the football. So, what he did Saturday was definitely not expected.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Hey, Barrett, so I guess a good problem to have when Honus is back. What do you do? I know you had a 3-man rotation last year. Is it as simple as just kind of going back to that situation with the 2 seniors and Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good problem to have when you got a lot of good players to get on the field. And I think all those guys are going to play a lot of football for us. I think it ups the competition in practice, who gets to play the most, that sort of thing. But all 3 of those guys are really good football players. All 3 of those guys prepare really well. And I'm expecting that kind of inner competition to elevate their play even more.
Hey, as a follow-up, you mentioned the first drive of the game with maybe some nerves and Reimer in particular. Did you see any carryover to the first drive of the second half? Anything that happened then that explains why, both halves of that game started the way they did and you played, really solid the rest of the way?
Honestly, that's a good question, Mitch, and I'm not sure. I mean, there was definitely, you could see there was nerves. The first drive, a little bit of hesitation. The second drive, I should say the second half drive, the opening drive of the second half, we're still searching why we didn't start that one better. Because really, you take away the first 2 drives of each half, and it was a pretty solid football game for us. But, the second half drive especially was pretty inexcusable. Just some missed tackle, some sloppiness overall. And I'm not sure where that came from, because usually by the time you get that first hit out of the way, the nerves kind of do go away. So something for us to keep looking at, but definitely got to start each half faster. That's an emphasis this week.
2 more for Barrett. First, Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Coach, what have you seen from Penn State when you look at them? And obviously, they're a surprising 0-3. Just what kind of Penn State team do you expect to come in here knowing their backs are against the wall and somewhat you guys are in that same position at 0-2?
Yeah, I mean, we expect to see their best team. I think they were they'd probably self-admittedly a little bit sloppy versus Indiana, had some turnovers. Really, they played pretty good football versus Ohio State, in all honesty. I think one of the wrinkles, their coordinator came from Minnesota, so you see some of the Minnesota concepts that you saw a year ago, probably a little bit more quarterback run game built in. They got some really good receivers on the outside, including a really good receiving tight end. I know they've been a little bit banged up at running back, but you see a lot of similar concepts that we saw last year at Minnesota, with some new wrinkles built in based on the personnel Penn State has. So we anticipate them playing a really good game. Like you said, Sean, I mean, they're 0-3. They don't think they're an 0-3 team. We're 0-2. We don't think we're an 0-2 team. So you're going to see both teams coming in, ready to play good football.
All right, and last one for Barrett, Sam McEwen, World Herald.
Hey, Barrett. Hey, you're the in-state recruiting guy, and I know you can't go around and watch teams this year because of NCAA regulations, but there have been a lot of live streams this particular year on YouTube and things like that. Do you try to find time on Friday nights to pull up 4 or 5 screens and watch them? I assume you're allowed to do that, and what has that experience been like if you've been doing it?
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, Sam, is what's tough is we do have meetings Friday nights, and and I'm getting old, man, so I go to bed pretty early anymore too. But I do try to follow on Twitter, especially, these playoffs have been going on. I try to follow the scores. I don't do as many live feeds, but I will look up, a lot of times they do a good job posting some highlights. So I try to stay up to date on what's going on during the playoff race. When we were not playing, when the Big Ten was shut down, I was watching it pretty closely on Huddle. I didn't live stream as much the night of, but I did go on the next morning and watch a lot of games via Huddle. And like you said, I'm the in-state recruiter, but, being a lifer here, I enjoy following Nebraska football as a fan anyway. So I'm always trying to stay up to date on the different teams and see how they do. And, like I said, a combination of me having meetings Friday night and me being old and going to bed pretty early, I don't get too much live feed, but I do try to follow on Twitter as much as I can.
How good is the collective talent in the state right at this moment compared to, say, when you were in high school?
Well, I like to think we were okay. I do think, I do think the talent's really been pretty good. I think compared to when I was coming up, I think the metro area especially has gotten quite a bit better. I think Lincoln, when I was coming up, really controlled state football a little bit more. We obviously, Creighton Prep was always very good when I played, Papillion La Vista, but I think Omaha's been a little bit ahead of late. But there's good talent in the state, and even when you go to West Nebraska and you go up north, there's becoming more and more talent all over, and it's good for us to see, because I love how those in-state kids are brought up, and I think most of them are still multi-sport guys, which I love. They're competitors year round, and you're seeing a lot of really good football on a week-in to weekend basis here in Nebraska.
Thanks, Barrett.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Barrett.
Thanks.
We'll have players here in a minute, and the first one in will be Ethan Piper.
Okay, we're here with Ethan Piper. First question is for Stephen Sipple.
Hello, Ethan. We always hear, as media fans, I guess, that a freshman faces, one of the key things a freshman faces is the big jump up in competition from high school. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you, and how has it been with Ohio State and Northwestern? What did you think of that competition?
Yeah, there is a big jump from, especially I was C2 my senior year, just size. But here at Nebraska, since with this whole COVID thing, we've been going against a lot of guys in practice, and I think we have one of the best D-lines in the Big Ten, in my opinion, just size-wise and strength. And I think they did a great job of preparing me and the whole offensive line to go against Northwestern and Ohio State, because I think Coach Duvall is doing a great job in the weight room with us, and just getting us prepared for whoever we play. So.
Okay.
Brian Christopherson. Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Ethan, how big a deal have the veterans around you been in helping you, having Hymus over there and even Matt playing center this weekend, what they've meant to you as mentors and how they've helped you grow?
It's meant a lot. Coming here, like I said, I was on defensive line and got switched over to offensive line, and those guys immediately embraced me and have been so good, just like explaining the offense and being a role model, especially during practice, to know what to do in practice. And they've been great guys and just overall great mentors during this whole process. So,
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal Star.
Hey, Ethan, when did you have an idea during this sort of odd off season that you were going to have a chance to be in the rotation, and what was the experience like then making your first start against Northwestern?
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy with COVID and all that stuff, but we rotate a lot of guys, especially into practice, and so we're all used to being, it doesn't matter who's on our right side. Like Matt got moved to center, and there's a lot left tackles with Turner coming in, but I've kind of just always not really thought about starting, but just making myself better, and the rest will come. Just like even Northwestern starting, it meant a lot. It was kind of like growing up from Nebraska, like you kind of like, and even coming here as a freshman, you kind of think about it, but when it actually happens, it's kind of a surreal experience. So it's been a great experience with that. So.
Any more questions for Ethan? Just mention in the chat and I'll get to you. Brian Christopherson, you're up.
Yeah, Ethan, just talk about that class that you came in with. There's so many guys on the O-line in it. And, I mean, the competition and the chemistry, all of it, how has it worked together, and how have you feel it's pushed the depth there on the O-line?
Yeah, our class is like are great football players, but especially they're just great friends. I think that's been the biggest key through this whole COVID, just like a lot of rough spots. But I wouldn't like with everyone on the offense line, we've gone through a lot together, and that's just made us stronger. And our class is just keep pushing each other on and off the field in all aspects. And I just think we want the best for each other to make the better version of ourselves. So it's been, I'm extremely blessed to be, especially on the offense line, and especially with the guys in my class. I think it's been a great experience overall. So
I know it's all about the now, but do you talk about the future with some of those guys that are going to be around a few years? You know, you got Ben Hart out there, a redshirt freshman, and Juergens is still a pretty young guy, and all that.
Yeah, I don't look too far ahead, but I think we have a promising future with all those guys. I think the offense line we have right now is I think it's great, but looking ahead, I think we have a lot of young guys that are going to do some great things here. So,
Next one, Joe Nugent.
Hey, Ethan, I want to ask you about the penalties. I know it's been an emphasis, but it continues to happen. What do you think it ultimately will take for you guys to turn the corner in that area?
Yeah, we just, especially with Northwestern, they did a lot of shifting, barked out a lot of fake calls, and we weren't really expecting that. And I just think it takes a lot more focus. We have to make that a focus at practice and rep it out at practice. And I just think it ultimately just comes down to just reps, practicing that, and hopefully we will correct that. And I think we will correct that. We've been doing a lot better, even the last 2 days with that. So,
Steve Sipple. Sipple, volume.
Oh, sorry about that. So sorry. You mentioned that you have had a lot of practice against your D line. I'm wondering about one of the young guys in particular, Ty Robinson. What is it like squaring off against him? What makes him challenging? We're already seeing him make plays. What do opposing offensive linemen face with Ty Robinson?
Ty's we were both roommates, and he's just a great guy, but he's really bulked up, especially this last year. You could just looking pictures at him last year to this year. It's been crazy. Like I said, Duval's doing a great job in the weight room with us. But, yeah, he's very big, very strong, very athletic, and I think he has a very bright future in front of him. And that's, like I was saying, it's like those guys I think we do have some of the best guys that in the Big Ten when it comes to the defensive line, and or going to be. So I think we get a lot of good reps with those guys, and I just make us better. So.
Okay. Thanks for waiting. We've got Matt Farniok here. If you have questions for Matt, go ahead and let me know in the chat. Still expecting Garrett Nelson after Matt, hopefully. First question for Matt, Brian Christopherson, 24/7.
I'll start with the obvious, Matt. When did you know you were going to play center, and how difficult of an adjustment is that for you, or was that?
I kind of found out like the week of, and I mean the biggest challenge was just figuring out how to get the snap back to the quarterback consistently, and that was really the main challenge because the speed of the game is pretty much similar to the guard in that essence. So the main focus was just getting the ball to the quarterback.
Is that something you felt comfortable with throughout off-season work? Because you kind of dabbled in it, correct, at times, getting ready for that?
Yeah, I just it's always good to be able to kind of do a little bit of everything. So I did have a little baseline of getting snaps in, so which helped a lot of preparing me for the game.
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Matt, how was the process of verbalizing all of the calls and all of that from the center spot? I mean, I'm sure that you're normally thinking through them from the guard spot, but do you normally talk a lot as a guard, or was that part of it a lot different for you at center?
I mean, all it was just saying my thoughts out loud. I mean, so that was really the big difference, and so it really wasn't just a big change. It was just making sure that I'm the one communicating to where the point is and what's going on.
Kevin Suits, Channel 1011.
Hey, Matt, as one of the captains, I'm just curious what your message is to your teammates. Obviously, it's not the start you've wanted, but there's still a lot of season ahead. So what are you saying to your teammates, especially some of the younger guys?
Just you got to keep rolling. I mean, football's never going to be a perfect game. You're never going to have a perfect played game, no matter how good you really do. There's always little things that you can fix, and that's just what you got to focus on. We were a couple plays away from having a different outcome of that game, and I mean that just comes down to being more disciplined and more focused in practice and continue to just improve who you are as a player.
Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Yeah, Matt, you're a captain with Adrian. I mean, how have you seen Adrian respond this week? Obviously, that was a tough spot for him to get pulled. And what have you seen in that quarterback competition in practice?
Just the same as always. I mean, it's two competitive guys that always just want to be the best they can be and bring out the best in others. So, I mean, really all it is just a continuous competition between the guys.
Steve Sipple, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hi, Matt, Scott Frost characterized your performance as one of your better ones of your Nebraska career, which, encompasses about 27 starts or so now. Did you feel you played at that level?
I played okay. I had a couple of mistakes, that I need to fix up, and I do think I did all right. There's some things I need to clean up, and I plan on cleaning them up this week. But I know it's only going to get better from there.
Do you have anything by way of a scouting report? Like, what do you see up front from Penn State, and maybe compared to what you saw against Northwestern and Ohio State?
Again, they're probably going to be more similar to Ohio State. They're a bunch of bigger athletic guys. They're really good at moving around, so it's going to be more of I'd say like a finesse type of rush where they can do power as well. So it's just going to be a little more get ready to react.
Okay, thank you.
Two more for Matt. Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Matt, I know you guys have played in a couple empty stadiums now. Now that you're getting the chance to play at home in an empty setting too, I guess I'm just curious what you think that might feel like, and are there any ways that you guys can, make it feel more like a home game, even though the fans won't be there to watch?
I mean, really what it is it's just playing for the love of the game, right? I mean, you really shouldn't need a crowd of screaming fans to get you going. I mean, if you're out there on that field, you should be wanting to compete, wanting to show that you're here for a reason and that you want to be one of the best in your position, and really just have a competition one-on-one against the guy across from you.
And we'll finish up, Matt, with Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Just like a minute late, so I apologize if you've been asked this, but who'd you work on the snaps with, and did you lean on your brother at all? Because he's been doing it for years. But how did you get so good at it? Because you were pretty good on Saturday.
My brother. My brother was a huge help in actually having me understand how to snap and proper stance, footwork. I mean, we've been working off and on snaps probably for like a month or two, here and there. So he was a big factor of me actually being able to snap the ball to the quarterback.
Do you anticipate? I mean, you're an NFL prospect. Do you anticipate that might be something you'd have to do one day? I know Nick Gates has moved to that position. You played with him once upon a time. Is that something you want to try to build into your repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, it helps. The more that you can do, the more valuable you can be. And I mean, it's always better to have a little bit of a baseline than be thrown into the fire without ever doing it.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
check and see. I think we'll still have Garrett Nelson here in a minute. Okay, we are wrapping up today with Garrett Nelson. If you have questions for Garrett, go ahead and let me know in the chat here. All right, first one, Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Garrett, Coach is talking a lot about kind of an open competition this week. I guess I'm curious, how would you say you played at Northwestern, and maybe how exciting is it to be part of a group of young guys fighting for more playing time the rest of the season?
I mean, in my mind, there's competition every practice. I mean, you want to give it your all every practice. I mean, no spot is guaranteed, no matter who you are, no matter how long you've been here. You just got to go out and earn it every day. So it's awesome. I love the group of guys that we're playing with. I mean, from all levels, grade wise, but it's fun to fly around and play defense with everybody.
Coach Chinander was talking about how the defense is just kind of embracing however many snaps, the offense wants to give you guys on the other side. They're more open to that. Do you sense that that's any different from last year in terms of depth and how you guys approach that, or is that about the same as it's always been?
I mean, we love when we go out on the field and we play. I mean, that's the mentality you got to have. We're here to play football, so you don't get upset when something happens on offense or you got to go out there for a really long drive. I mean, you embrace the fact that we get to play football. We get to go and hit people on the other side. We get to tackle and get sacks and have it's all part of the game that we love. So embracing no matter how many plays that offense gives us, we get to be out there with each other and playing and having fun.
From The Athletic, Mitch Sherman.
Hey, Garrett, what pleases you about what you've seen from the front seven through these two games?
It's awesome to see how much I guess of the effect they have on offenses. I mean, just watching the interior guys work. I mean, from outside in, not being a true defensive lineman, it's awesome to see Ty Robinson, Stilley, guys like that, just tearing up dudes. But the front seven as a whole has been awesome. I mean, like I said, I love playing with those guys. They communicate really well. They fly to the ball. They love playing football, and I love playing with them. So they've done a phenomenal job, and I wouldn't want to play with anybody else.
Lincoln Journal-Star, Parker Gabriel.
Hey, Garrett, could you measure the progress in your own group, the outside linebackers, and the impact, if any, that Mike Dawson has had in the time since he's been back in your position, Coach?
Yeah, I can't tell you how much of a blessing it is to have Coach Dawson. He demands it from you every single snap, and we needed that. I needed that. Everybody needed that, and not really looking back on it now because we're still going on, obviously still playing and in the season, but understanding how he coaches, understanding what he wants, and kind of getting through that part, and then actually doing it, it was kind of obviously learning a new thing and learning a new coach is there's a learning curve to it. And now fully understanding how he is as a person, how he coaches. I mean, I love him to death. I wouldn't want anybody else coaching me. We've had some talks, and he's had talks with the whole position group as a whole, and he loves us so much, and he cares about us so much, and he cares about this program so much that he demands it from everybody every single snap, and his passion and his fire that he comes with every day, and I love it. It makes me a better player. It makes me a better person. It's been phenomenal to have him, and I wouldn't want anybody else.
Kevin Suits, Channel 1011.
Hey, Garrett, I know Coach Frost isn't afraid to take you guys outside when the weather's not the best. I know today would kind of fit that mold. Did you guys go outside? I'm curious about that. And then overall, what's the mood been like at practice over the past 2 days?
Yeah, we went outside. Yep. It was, I mean, I'm speaking from a biased standpoint. I mean, I've grew up in this stuff for 20 years, and I love when it rains and it snows, and it just makes. I mean, you go back to your childhood, and you go in the backyard, and there's big snow drifts, and you're tackling everybody in the snow drifts. I mean, it's fun, and when it's raining, I mean, it almost looks like a movie, you know. But yeah, we went outside. It was fun. It was a back and forth, indoor to outdoor, but practice has been. We've turned it on. I mean, we obviously not the result we wanted these first two. So, and that's what I love about this group and about this team. We demand it from ourselves. We need. Obviously, there's something wrong, so we got to get practice changed, more intensity, more detail oriented. Got to run the ball harder. Things like that. So, we're not down in any way. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves. Our coaches have done a phenomenal job of instilling that into ourselves and changing that. So just keep on the track that we are, and if we need to keep changing or doing, but honestly, it just comes to wanting it and playing harder. So in practice, we having that mentality every day, no matter if you're tired or what's going on.
Another one here for Garrett, Joe Nugent, WWT.
Hey, Garrett, I'm wondering if you feel like the defense made significant progress between the first and second games, and if you could provide an example or two on that.
Yeah, I'm I'm not a analyst or defensive expert in any way. I mean, I love playing defense and everything, but I think we feel it as a group that we've done really well. Our improvement has been noticeable among us and ourselves. I mean, I don't know about outside looking in, but in the group that we're in defense, we feel like we improved a bunch. Obviously, there's can't get complacent. Can't say, oh yeah, that was good enough. We held them to this many. We got two. Always being driven to have them get less yards, get more turnovers. Force the issue more, force the will on the guy more. So it's the improvement has been there, and it's encouraging to see. Examples are we got 2 turnovers, we got a strip sack, we're getting pressures and all that. I mean, I hope you guys see it, and we see it. Like I said, just cleaning up some things, cleaning up a drive or two, coming out with some more energy, beginning and halftime. Just little things here and there that we need to tone down, and that just starts with practice. Starts with us as players. We can't do that again. So. The improvement's been there. We see it, and I hope you guys see it.
Okay, and one more for Garrett, finishing up. Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Garrett, I'm curious, when did you first meet Luke Reimer and see him play? And are you surprised at all with the way he played in his first career start?
No, the dude, he works his tail off in practice. I mean, he does everything right. The guy's I'm not going to say freak because he's more than that. He works his tail off. He studies. He's here every day. He knows he's obviously talented, but that's not how I describe him. He's just the hardest. He's a hard worker, man. Flies around in practice, communicates. Colin Miller and the leaders in that middle linebacker room, Coach Ruud, have accelerated his progress in as a player. He's a completely different guy from year 1 to year 2, leadership-wise, player-wise. I mean, it's awesome to watch him make some of the incredible plays that we see and that you guys see. He's a great player. He's a great guy to be around. He's a great teammate. So it's awesome to play with him. I love having him at middle linebacker, and not surprised at all. I mean, you work hard every day like he does and like we do. I mean, improvement's going to come. You just got to keep your nose to the grindstone like he does. He's a phenomenal player, phenomenal guy.
All right. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.